in Las Vegas today visiting with Linda from ADP. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Um, we're talking about the changing landscape of the human capital markets. Talk to me about that a little bit.
So, yeah, I think everything is changing in the human capital market today. It's not just how the work is being done, it's who's doing the work, how they expect to get paid, the practitioners who have to manage all this, the function of business, and technology. Technology is changing everything, whether it's in the business space, personal space, and certainly in the HCM landscape.
So, how is ADP staying ahead, staying, competitive, or even at the forefront in the space?
Absolutely. So we have 70 years of expertise, which helps. In addition to that, we do deep research, whether it's the ADP Research Institute. We also have heavy behavioral economics. We have an anthropologist on staff. So we're really getting much closer to the workers and the work. And we think by kind of starting at the end point and getting that right and working back really gives us an advantage as to how we're solving all of those problems.
So, how are you actually getting to the front, working with those workers, kind of doing the bottom up? What is the strategy?
So if you think about it, first of all, who is the worker? It used to be that it was traditionally just the worker who comes into the office, they're hired by an employer, they have a traditional working engagement. Today, that's completely different. Now it's all about the freelance economy or the gig economy. So people don't necessarily want to say, hey, I'm signing up for a career, I'm going to stay there for life, and that's just the way things go. Now they want to curate their own employment experience, and that may be that they're working some traditional, some freelance, maybe all freelance, but it has to fit into their lifestyle. So starting with the worker, things are fundamentally different than they used to be. And then how they're going to be paid. It used to be that everybody was paid on a biweekly pay schedule because that was what was convenient for the employers. But now with the invention of Ubers and Lyfts of the world, people expect to have their experience of earning and paying being tied very tightly together. And it's going much more mainstream than that. It's not just the Ubers and Lyfts of the world. There's plenty of other companies out there that are mainstream. And so now this is an emerging employer brand issue as well. So, just thinking about the workers and the work and getting close to it, that's how we're pulling that back in. And we think if we get that right, it doesn't help the workers. It doesn't just help the employers get the work done, but it also helps companies from the standpoint of employer brand and making themselves more appealing. So now they can bring in better talent, and it has a flywheel effect, and then success becomes more success.
Oh, that sounds great. One of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier was agile. And when you talk about getting to the worker and the gig economy and really focusing on them almost like a customer, what have you guys been doing around agile? It's very interesting.
So the whole idea of agile in the context of HCM is, again, how does work get done? We have org charts, and the kind of the genesis of org charts goes all the way back to finance and accounting. How do people get paid, and the accounts payable and the charts of accounts? What it doesn't represent is how work gets done. And this is happening, and companies know that it's happening, but they're really having a hard time kind of getting their arms around it and driving that into their strategy. So what we're doing is we're taking this opportunity to recognize agile teams, whether it's through our standout tool, whether it's through other tools that we're creating. It's basically allowing people, as they come together around a project, to self-identify themselves as a team and then recognize that. And now we have visibility where we didn't before. So it's kind of the invisible workforce actually getting things done, and we're putting arms around that and putting that into something that can be leveraged from a strategy standpoint.
Well, that should be incredibly helpful for the HR staff, right? HR department's going to need to understand how they can stay in front of that. So, what do you see going forward? What do you see? What's your vision of the how the markets are going to change in the next few years?
So we're continuing forward. One of the biggest things that I think ADP is getting ahead of is data. So I talked about the HR practitioners wanting to get to the executive table and help to drive strategies. I think one of the ways they can do that is through harnessing the power of data. So ADP, we have a massive HCM database. We've got 30 million employee records out there that we can pull from, and it's real data. It's not survey data. It's real data. Taking that, harnessing it, getting down to that nugget that the HR strategist needs to know about so that they have it at the point in time that it makes sense is really the gold. And what we're doing is we're starting to now break that down. Where are the anomalies? Where are the outliers that they need to pay attention to? And then we're taking that and making it something very consumable so that they have it, and then prescribing what should they do. We're learning from things at this point where we say, we presented you with an insight at a point in time. Was that helpful? If it was helpful, we're going to give them more like that. So we're really trying to take the power of the data that we have, and through machine learning and behavioral economics, through all of this, understanding how people are going to use the data, make sure that we're giving them exactly what they need when they need it, and then helping them understand what to do with it. And that's really, an insight without action is as if it never happened. So.
Well, as an HR professional, love to have that information at my fingertips and have it learn from what I like to do. So, Linda, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. This is great.